Not yet.
which is a very necessary part of reanimating anything. And one of the reasons that that Reanimator is so underrepresented in Duel Commander, that it's very difficult to. Where does the mark? Oh, he.
Oh,
Okay, yeah,
he has a
not
Thoughtseize that we'll see. The fatal push. Oh, I think that's going to be a quick game one.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too. I think we see equipped in the Hogaak here. Attack with both the creatures.
Doesn't look too good.
Yeah, I'm guessing he won't be preventing any damage with the Malcolm yet. Probably going to make a treasure of the Malcolm. And then go to 1. Cast Tevesh and go to 1.
Oof, that's... He can't cast Tevesh, it's the 4th turn.
But he can make a treasure of Malcolm.
Okay, yeah, right.
And then make a blocker.
You just said that.
Make 2 blockers. Yeah. He blocks the Bloodgast and then he blocks the Hogaak. Hogaak has 9 power and he's at 9. So
yeah.
1 toughness off it, he goes to 1, and then he has to hope to draw a Damnation or something like that.
Correct. There's a Tevesh, as you said.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he need to... Hey, old boys. Old boy. It's only one. Cheers, welcome. That's not a nice situation to be in.
Definitely not.
I mean, being down to 1, you're threatened to face a collective brutality, or these days also, even the River Bloom command.
And Hogaak has plenty of ways to get the Bloodgast back out, so he has to continue to have blockers up. Oh yeah, this is a good line, because if he finds any removal with that, then he's won.
Yeah, definitely. This could
even draw
be
another 2.
This could be ugly. There's a hymn. There's an Ulvenwald tracker.
But nothing game-winning just yet.
Yeah. I mean, on the other hand, like... Hey, Copero. Karada Copero. It's almost like... Asmorano Marika. I don't know if Hogaak is that overpowered. I mean, it's still a strong deck, definitely.
Yeah, we were talking about it before. The amount of incidental graveyard hate that has been printed since Hogaak has been printed, sort of just makes Hogaak a bit worse in a lot of senses. Like, for example, like Endurance being one of the best ones, since it's tutorable by a lot of green decks, and Solitude helps, and yeah, lots of stuff helps.
Yeah.
To quell Hogaak's oppressiveness.
So there's a Hymn to Torak. That's not really something to be worried about, since I think the Dimir player only has lands. Ah, and he kept the Oza Saga, which is a good one.
Not very helpful in this aspect, but yes, a good one.
So
even removal doesn't do that much here for the Hogaak.
The problem is that he would need to produce Thralls and at the same time drawing cards off Malcolm.
Yeah.
Which is not possible. And even
something like a Wormcoil engine, which I'm pretty sure he has in his deck. could do it.
Yeah, probably. That's something to consider.
Plus Tevesh here, sacks the Malcolm, yep. And
drawing 3 cards. The problem is we don't see any snow-covered basic lands, so I would not expect him to play Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter is irrelevant here.
No correct. No, I mean as an additional removal spell to get rid of the remaining creatures, and then still you have to fight. Now there's a toxic and he can't cast it. Okay. Yeah. You still have to fight the hasty Bloodgast in case there's another land drop. And you have to remove Hogaak.
Yeah, kill Hogaak, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Which one?
Skeletal Scrying. I'm linking it to you.
Which one?
Skeletal Scrying. I mean, it highly depends on the deck, but there's a lot of setup required. Black decks don't really fill, like black control-based decks, so decks that would play this don't really fill their graveyards that much. So like sometimes maybe you want to cast it for X is 3, and you don't have 3 cards in your graveyard, you only have 2, so it kind of stops you.
So there's the Evil Donut, welcome, as well as Xbot.
Xbody.
Yeah, he's Xbot on the other servers.
Oh yeah.
The still in love with Windgrace, right? I assume. And I've seen that soon you have a tournament. You're organizing the fact thingy, isn't it? Is that correct?
A what?
Nice. There is a help me out. Where is it located? Somewhere in South France. I've checked the position, the location, but it's too far for us to have a spontaneous appearance. Would be nice. The last one was quite successful, I guess, with like 70 or 80 players.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. In Lyon, okay. So, back to the second round. There's a Durus.
So, we see a Dork start, always good.
Definitely.
But not necessarily any way to get to enough cards in graveyard yet.
Not yet, correct.
Well, what is that card on the right, the Golgari card?
That's Drown in Filth.
Which does?
It says you're going to target a creature, mill the top 4 cards, and then the creature is going -X equal to creature cards in your graveyard, I guess.
Interesting.
I think that's correct. Mill 4 cards, yeah. For each land card in your graveyard, sorry. Each land card.
74 players at a first event is very successful.
Yep.
I don't see why you'd take the Blood Chiefs first over the Drown in Filth with that duress.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, on the other hand, you could argue that he will, unless he's targeting his own creature and the opponent refuses to play Malcolm, he's not getting a target for the Drown. Yeah. I was personally never a fan of the card because it's sorcery speed and
I mean it fizzles if the target dies in response, which robs you of your cards in graveyard.
That, as well as it's dependent on variation. I mean, of course there will be situations in which you already have like 2 lands in graveyard, but let's say you need a third one, and then it's the gamble, and we all know that Hogaak plays like around 30 lands anyway, so there might be a chance of not hitting any land in the top 4.
Yep.
And then you've just played a spell that fueled your graveyard, okay, but you didn't get rid of the creature.
Yep.
But it might have a nice synergy with Elvish Reclaimer. And he's searching for
Probably like a State of Wayfinder or something.
Yeah. So the Fiend Artisan also, it's a very cool card from Ikoria. I really like that. Was super hyped to play some breakfast interaction with it back in the days when Tymna and Thrasios were still legal, and you could play the nerfed Alluran pile.
Oh, but didn't you end up cutting it when you played it a little bit?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it seems a little difficult to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a second Fauna Shaman, but it's not as good. Mana wise, you trade the same, but so
You have
I'm
the timing restriction and
yeah, as well as, I mean, yeah, as well as that, because you can only do it as a sorcery on sorcery.
Yep.
Speed. I was just trying to follow. So there was a 4th land of a marsh flats, and there's a Sylvan Safekeeper, but he only has 2 cards in graveyard, right? That's
yep.
not
But he has a target for the drown. So
correct. There's Malcolm.
If this card finds this is, I was thinking about this line earlier. To guarantee that even if he flips 4 creatures and the Malcolm dies, he's just sacking a land.
Yeah.
With the Safekeeper.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, it's risky in a sense that you have less lands in play, meaning you can do less things. But I think Hogaak usually really doesn't interact. Doesn't do more than.
I mean,
doesn't need more than 3 mana.
You have a lot of cheating spells from the graveyards, and
Yep.
he even has a dork on fields. 3 mana is perfectly fine to cast almost any spell. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say against the Hogaak cast here.
I think you want to be attacking first with the Fiend Artisan while it has.
You could. Okay. He's probably searching for the Shepherd just to be really sure your opponent is not able to interact in any way. So he can't counter Hogaak anymore, and then he can't target it.
Shepherd?
Yeah, he's not. He's getting a okay. That does the same job basically. Oh, we see a Yorkmoth and a Chain of Smog. Okay. I was talking about the Allosaurus Shepherd.
Oh yeah. Okay.
This lad here.
Yep, I didn't know how to spell that. The foreign part.
And well, Mesmeric Fiend might be better. I mean, you get some more information. I think the hand from the Dimir player pretty much show that he doesn't really have a lot of chances to fight that board. Looks like a really weird Dimir version to me.
I too am a little confused.
A lot of weird stuff.
I mean, Hogaak has a lot of it's really easy to put together a good Hogaak start. But it's beatable, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean this Tevesh cast is leading to nowhere because he can just trample over And we know that the second card it had in hand is or the last card in hand is a Chain of Smog. So there is no Deadly Rollick or anything. And there is even a Ram through, which seals the deal, right? Because he will just go phase. Fiend Artisan does not have trample. So it does 7 damage plus another 7. 14. It's not quite enough. 2 damage missing. I mean, the Fiend Artisan does not have trample.
It doesn't.
But yeah, I mean, he needs to block the Artisan. And then
Oh, never mind. That is lethal. He's at 11 plus 3 damage from, so 8 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 11.
Where are the 3 additional damage coming from?
From the, oh no, never mind. The supplier was cast this turn, so he's at 1.
Correct. Yeah, so he's at 1 again. That's not it. That's not enough. I mean, he's at a point, and that's actually how to play those games from an aggressive perspective. If you can, of course, if you have a trample creature, it's pretty easy to ignore the thralls. But also, if you can develop huge pressure, you just ignore Tevesh, because, well, there might be 2 or 3 cards drawn. Chances of those cards changing the game drastically is there, but it's not huge. So yeah, shuffling 250 cards is nothing I'm looking forward to. So that's why we played it on Cockatrice. Diblex, you are allowed to have companions, but since Yorion is not matching or you can't match the requirements for Yorion, you cannot choose to have this one as your companion, as you're not allowed to go above, or your deck needs to have exactly 100 cards, including your commander or commanders. So the first round of our top 8 is starting, and it looks like the Goblin player is keeping, or more probably not. There are 3 red lands in hand. I think I see a Mock Raider. It's a quality setup. Yeah, it's a very classic matchup. Both players are keeping the hand. We see an Underground Sea and an Inquisition of Kozilek. So we get to see the opponent's hand. And there's a Mock Raider. And a Fashalik and a Goblin. Rebel Master and a Munition Expert.
So what's that? What's the old Goblin called?
The old one is Mock Raider, I guess. Yep. So you sacrifice a Goblin and target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
Oh yeah.
And he decided to discard that one.
Take the 1-drop.
Which is a reasonable play or a decision.
So being on the play here, I wouldn't be surprised if we just see a complete dismantling of the draw that the Grenzo player has.
Aminatou player, yep.
As in, the Aminatou player just has an answer for everything that's played, and
maybe I missed. I understood you were saying Venza, but maybe I
said Grenzo.
Grenzo. Okay, my fault.
Yeah. So like next turn, the Grenzo player probably plays Grenzo, and if that gets countered, then we have a Rebel Master the turn after, which so it can just die. And yeah. The Swamp seems to have been tapped just to draw mana and signal that he isn't going to do anything.
Yep.
Which is it's not necessarily tournament play, but it's a thing you can do, like a friendly thing you can do to show good faith. To tap your mana and have it fizzle.
And it seems that he does not decide to cast Grenzo.
The munitions expert has flash, so
yeah,
he may consider to just waste the opponent's mana and play the munitions expert in response. We see a deadly relic on the Reaminatou player's side.
Well, the thing is that munitions expert is also targeting planeswalkers.
Yep.
So that's a relevant one against Reaminatou probably.
Yep.
There you go. He's pinging Reaminatou for 1.
So the question is, does he deadly relic this? No, he doesn't.
I think
which seems like a fair thing because he can relic the Rabble Master, and Reaminatou will go to 2, and that seems fine.
Correct. And the next turn we can probably expect a something to flicker with Reaminatou. There's a Rebel Master. And just when you were asking about which cards to ban, he decides not to relic the Master. Maybe he has a boat web in hand.
Could be the case.
Yeah.
Could be an out of time coming down or something like that.
It's a dam. And he can cast it because the overload is
white.
White, exactly.
Yep, that's also a fine sequence of plays.
Absolutely.
So at this stage, the Reaminatou player still isn't quite out, simply because he hasn't generated any card advantage yet in terms of drawing cards with Reaminatou. He did get a 2-for-1 off the dam, but if can be a very tricky situation for the Reaminatou player if he just isn't doing anything to draw himself cards.
So we see a nice alteration of Badlands from Remy. And there's a conspicuous snoop from the bottom. That's great. And it is member on top. Doesn't really do a lot against Reaminatou.
I think this is... Let's just see.
So the only non-creature card this deck can play from the top, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Tarfire, I guess. If he even plays it. Or any other changeling spells, obviously, but usually that's not the case.
I thought Conspicuous Snoop was printed recently enough that it had the "you may look at the top card of your library" wording.
Is it may look, or is it reveal?
Play with the top card revealed.
It's revealed, okay. You thought it would be look at the top card. Yeah, okay.
Yep. Ooh. Is this maybe Reaminatou reanimated?
That could be the case, yeah.
Yep.
Frantic Search, and there's an Agent of Treachery.
Sticks can look very similar. Yep. First couple of turns, but now we see the difference.
Anna Savines. I really love this card.
I love it too.
So cool. soon we have a matchup in which you can recast Sevines from your graveyard without flashbacking it and still getting the trigger. But I'm not going to spoil anything. And Samuel is still thinking about which card I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's Vadrock.
Oh.
It's a really cool interaction, I think.
It is. You have to have enough cards.
Correct. There is a balance. Yeah. Tricky. Really tricky.
So 2 board wipes against the Grenzo player, I think that's... And we're on track to find a reanimation spell for the Agent of Treachery, which can get flickered and just take everything that Grenzo puts into play. And Reaminatou's still at 20.
And there is still a Deadly Relic left. Think about that.
There's still a Deadly Relic left, exactly.
And
so
now there might be a good time to use the Deadly Relic because, because the Goblin Settler can just sacrifice it in response. Oh, that's a tough one. Voshta is down to 1 card. Is there a reanimation spell? Probably
I haven't seen one in hand.
Not yet. Maybe he...
So the card that is on the battlefield is Goblin Sledder. Goblin
Correct.
Settler was something else.
Did I say Settler? I meant Sledder. Goblin Settler is definitely the much
one of
more...
the coolest goblins.
Yeah, one of the coolest goblins.
We haven't played it yet, but we have it, and it's ready to go at some point.
But we have a deck in mind to play it. Or I have in mind for a long time, but we didn't brew the deck yet. Because I wanted to build Krog and Rayhan land destruction in Archon. Which is probably a cool deck if you get to copy your spells with the Goblin.
Yep. And shit if you don't.
Right, but let's take it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to flip coins. That's a very tough situation for Voshta overall. On the other hand, the Reaminatou player is not really in an insane spot. I mean, he casted 2 board wipes, but it might be that he is... I mean, how many cards does he have left in hand? 2, I guess?
2 in hand. He has a shuffle of a +1 from Reaminatou.
Correct.
With a Misty Rainforest in play, which seems quite strong. And as soon as he gets down reanimation for the Agent of Treachery, he's in a very good state.
I don't think the deck features Mystic Sanctuary, but it would be available, or the trigger would be active.
Yep. I'd be surprised. Yep. Interesting decision to go for double black instead of double white, but likely the correct one. And kind of depends on what he has in hand. He might have more lands in hand.
Yeah, and also, I mean, maybe the Dam Overload was the only... No, that's wrong. There is an Out of Time and
probably
other
plays
stuff.
Liliana and Damnation. And
oh, what the jukes is that card?
I do not know this card.
Me neither. 3
Anyone
mana. 4 mana? 3 mana. 3 mana,
3.
end of turn, instant speed. It looks like a newer one. And there's an Iona entering the graveyard. Looks like an Eternal. Correct.
Speed and Tune.
Samuel is doing his best to search for the card. I think the Reaminatou player has a hard, yeah, and now the Grenzo player gets to untap because he couldn't find his reanimation spell despite having a few cycle cards or loot cards, I mean. Seems that he does not have any cantrips currently. And now he can just start regaining power on his board by using Grenzo's ability. And there's an unearth on a Goblin Rebel Master. Yeah. If it isn't for a third board wipe or an interaction for this unearth, this game can end quite quickly.
I found it.
You got it.
Interesting card.
Share it with us.
Yep.
It definitely... Okay, you were right. It's called Ploy. Dihada's Ploy. I've never seen this card. It's from Modern Horizons 2. With Jumpstart, okay. Well. Aren't there any better loot spells? Maybe not.
I mean, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. If you discard a high CMC card like Iona, you gain 8 life.
No, you gain life equal to the number of cards you've discarded.
Oh, number of cards you've done this turn. Never mind. I thought it was in terms of the high.
That would be cool. That would be cool. And there's a force. There was a force of will plate in order to get rid of the unearth. Synapse. Grenzo is a great tier. I mean, it looks interesting. Like,
yeah, so these are the kind of things you really don't want to be doing. It's plussing Reaminatou, facing down an opponent's board. I feel like, you don't find anything, you put a bad card back, you draw the bad card as your card for turn next turn, and
that's absolutely true. I've played the deck for a few weeks last year, I guess, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, people underestimate the power of the deck, and also, okay, there's a Sevin's flashback. They also underestimate the amount of decision making you have with this pile and the different angles you can attack from. So it's really a great deck, but it takes some time to master. And if you're into goblins, and many people are, it's probably a good deck. Also because unless the deck features like 3 easy to enable combos, I would say Grenzo is pretty safe from being banned. And in that case, if there would be a goblin specific combo, there is one with Conspicuous Snoop, which is not really threatening. It's a good one, and it wins on turn 4 to turn 5. It can, in some cases, it can also win on turn 3, I guess. But if there would be another specific goblin combo, you would, instead of banning Commander here, as we stated earlier, you would take the combo out in order to keep the tribal deck alive. That would be my way of getting control over a situation like this. And we see a battle, how is it called? War Driver, Goblin War Driver, I guess. Yes, that's correct. Interesting. Voshta decides to get rid of Reaminatou. Okay, on one hand, yeah, it forces your opponent to replay it for 5. I think your opponent has 1 card left in hand. There's another fetch. But then you still have 3 mana left for any reanimation spell, and you get to blink your creature probably. It's very likely that he would reanimate the agent. Sion, that's right. Red cap is another combo, but it's always a 3-card combo. Since you need a sacrifice outlet, you need the metallic mimic, and you need the red cap. If at some point there would be a goblin commander that brings a sacrifice outlet within itself, that would be better, but it's not necessary. I'm not even sure. I mean, I can probably check on Grenzo's I can check on his list if he plays the madcap, because it could be that he is currently not playing madcap. So let's see. Hey, welcome. We already have 47 guys watching the first round of the top 8 in Prague this November. And it looks like, it looks like Voshta has paid 5 mana to cast a Siege Gang Commander. Is that correct, guys? Or did he flip it from the bottom? There's an Archon of Cruelty on the other side of the table, which was hard casted, I guess. But to be honest, it's a 6/6, so the Siege Gang Commander can't deal with it by sacrificing goblins. I'm just quickly checking his deck list, if I can see, if I can find his deck list. That's probably the biggest issue. And then I don't even know. Okay, he plays a red cap. Never mind. If that's the list he's playing today. So there are 2 tokens on the battlefield, which are warm tokens, or what exactly? I can't figure out which tokens.
I'm back.
Welcome back. So we've had an interesting turnaround in a way that Voshta managed to bring down the Siege Gang Commander, but the opponent found Archon of Cruelty to hardcast, and now he was able to reanimate Iona on top of that. Yeah, I think
we're going to see 3 activations from the.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that can save him, because I mean, he has this very last turn. Even
I mean, he has to prevent the attack from the Archon, and so he has to kill the Archon.
Well, he has to kill Aminatou as well because the flicker...
Exactly, he can just flicker the animate dead to
Correct.
reanimate the Archon and win that way. So he either has to push
No,
lethal,
he can
which
just
is very
flicker
unlikely,
the Archon itself.
or just attack. Doesn't really
or
matter.
just attack, right. He has a couple of options.
So he has to kill the Archon and kill
Aminatou. And then there's still a flying Iona, right?
Exactly.
So chances are... And that's a Goblin She-Rogan, I guess.
No, that's
that's not a Goblin
mother.
It's a Goblin Matron.
Matron. Yep.
Matron, correct.
So this card lets him search for any goblin in his deck.
Yeah, which
Not
he
sure.
Cannot cast.
What do you mean? It's in play.
Yes, but he can't.
But he can't
cast the goblin he's searching unless it's
yep.
a black one.
Yep. He can siege gang. No, not siege gang. Yeah, siege gang lieutenant.
The chat is escalating because we said it's a goblin mother. It is a mother. I mean, look at the picture. She's cooking some nice food.
Well, a matron is more than a mother. A matron is a mother figure.
Well, yeah.
So a grandmother can be a matron.
I was just trying to connect it to the last time we were casting this year, and Jakob ran over his enemies with Asmo, and she was also preparing some nice food, but apparently Washta is not taking it home, at least in this game 1.
Maybe Iona didn't name red. Maybe Iona named black out of consideration that
there's so much. He had 3 flips in a row from the bottom, but it's just not enough. I wonder.
So I'm guessing he took a card. He found a goblin that doesn't come into play if he flips it with Grenzo. That's why he took a 3-powered chain whirler to statistically increase the chance.
Maybe you can. We have to check if there's anything in the list with which he could
have done it.
Yeah, which he could change.
The guy was already the what's his name? The black red guy.
Murderous Cap? No. Munitions expert. Munitions expert.
Munitions expert was already in the graveyard, so that couldn't really do anything.
I'm just going through the list to see if there's anything he could do, because even if Conspicuous Snoop is in the graveyard. Okay, there is he can't flip a Fury because Grenzo had power 2.
He could have drawn a Demonic Tutor for a Deadly Relic.
That is correct. He could have drawn that, but I'm looking into creatures that he can flip from the bottom. He might have, but it's also dependent on a draw. He could have cycled the Incinerator with 6 creatures on a battlefield, and then he still has to deal with Iona. So apart from that, maybe having the Bandit
we also
Lord.
We also have to consider that he still has to deal with Iona, and no, he has to deal with only Iona. So I'm not sure if there was really anything there.
He would have to be really lucky. He could have dropped a goblin that grants haste for the rest of the board, and then maybe have a Bandit Lord, which is able to shoot the Archon or shoot his face. I'm not sure about it. Either way, it looks very very difficult. Probably a Torpran could have changed the maths. Maybe if the opponent only But then you need Torbran and a hasty goblin.
Well, and you need to be able to cast the Torbran.
No, flipping it. It has power too.
Grenzo.
I'm only talking.
Oh, Grenzo flips anything.
Any creature, not a goblin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Torbran might have been able to do it. Yep. Then he only has to sack 2 creatures. He can go to combat and sack the guys that are blocked, or let them do damage and then sack additional creatures.
Correct. He can also, yeah. He can, and that in this way he could get rid of the creatures, the opponent's creatures.
Yeah,
but he probably would have.
Yeah. All creatures in play were lethal threats. All cards in play on the Reaminatou player's side were lethal threats. So.
Right. Definitely a difficult task to deal with that board. From Grenzo's perspective, at least. I'll be right back.
Thanks for that. I mean, it's the true. It's the definition of mother, right? Of matron. But has a great artwork too. I think one of the really cool things about Magic the Gathering is that every now and then you find an artwork from some obscure set that you haven't played yet. No, we're both at home in Darmstadt.
Hey, it's Cholk. So obviously, if we would have been over there, we'd
be on cam right now.
Yeah, either this or at least not having the chance to entertain you guys.
No, I think we'd be on cam right now because we're that good. Absolutely, 100%. There was a couple of things preventing us from going. Mostly the coronavirus.
I mean, yeah. There was a reason I was building the Jeskai pile. Maybe I get to test it in France. We're thinking about joining the ZEP event in December, Chalk, by the way. I don't know if you're thinking about that too. So the Grenzo player is starting in the second one, and it looks like Reaminatou player is thinking about his a potential mulligan.
So do you want to talk about your Jeskai pile? Have you played it on cam yet?
Yes, but the video is not out yet.
Okay.
I'm playing Chrome and Livio.
So I didn't quite. I saw the flash of the hand briefly. I think I'll go into the VOD and have a look. So we have a Daikon in hand. What looks like a Collective Brutality and Ashen Rider, and I think that's a Spell Pierce. Oh, that's a Spell Snare. So, a bit of an awkward start in terms of mana. No, never mind. He can play. He can either shock himself with the Hallowed Fountain turn 1. So I think this is a good start for Reaminatou. Yes, he just has to find a reanimation spell, and then he can start Ashen Ridering. Only that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think Felix would have to ask Miro.
What's going on?
We have I sent you the Reaminatou player showed his hand to the camera, so I sent you a picture of that.
Oh.
So I think that's a Grenzo has kept a 5 from what it looks like, which is a bit unlucky.
I don't think it's. Oh, they were debating that prior to the event. In order to deal with certain matchups in a good way, you have to take a lot of mulligans. So that might be a tactical decision instead of having or being forced to mulligan twice. Not necessarily, but something to keep in mind.
I guess, but I don't think there's much graveyard interaction in the deck.
Or rather, maybe in the direction that you just try to
look for Blood Moon?
Slam the board. Either this or just slam the board quickly in order to.
Okay, yes, I guess if you're saying like this deck wants to keep a fast hand, but I think so. I'm guessing we're seeing -2 and either a drain or an instant and sorcery look. Not sure if I would look for instants and sorceries.
I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do so either.
Plays 49 creatures.
But having the Pilferer killed enables another Grenzo cast next turn.
Is that bad though? I feel like
probably not. But so Grenzo is a key card here for Voshta in order to compensate his card disadvantage. He decided to look for his hand. Okay, so there's a 3-drop. That's even better. It's a Goblin Rebel Master.
Yep. So he's left him with it. So this is kind of one of the better outcomes of this sequence for the Grenzo player. He can slam Rebel Master now. What? And
why is he attacking first? Maybe he's drawn a Blood Moon?
Might be the case.
An Urwig squad. Okay, cool. Okay. So
I don't have the text in mind.
It says like ETB if you. Well, the prowl cost is active since he attacked with a goblin, and then you can search your opponent's library for 3 cards and exile them. Which is probably a better line, I guess.
Yep, so I'm guessing he's going to be taking reanimation spells.
Yeah, and it also...
Yeah, so we see Necromancy, Animate Dead and Out of the Dead, I'm guessing is what he's going to be taking.
Yeah, it might give him an information about...
Which is a big hit to the deck.
Definitely,
especially when he's already committed discarding a card for draining 2 life in order to...
Yeah, I mean, Voshta can pretty much ignore all the cards that are putting something into the graveyard as long as he's not able to get it out.
Yeah.
Go get it back.
So
So
he's taken up a balance there, which might be a good move.
Chams has asked for guesses for the ban list. We've talked about it earlier. I've heard some complaints back in the days or over the course of the weeks about dream halls. We both think that dream halls is totally fine.
Yep.
And Samuel and me strongly agree on deadly rolling. Being a card that should be banned sooner or later. Better sooner than later. Yeah. So if you ask me for cards that should definitely leave the format, it's Deadly Relic. You could also argue about Flawless Maneuver. Apart from that, I have no clue what could be removed or even added. Like, you could also we've argued a couple of times why it's totally fine to unban Marav, for example.
Yep.
And Voshta is still deciding which cards to pick. And
it is a difficult decision.
Yeah, and there's a Toxic Deluge on top, so he might also just, and that's maybe a reasonable thing to say.
He might
Okay,
go for Balance Dam and
exactly.
And Toxic.
When is later? If you ask me, Deadly Relic should have been banned since pretty much the card was printed.
The other two were banned, right? So, like we, when the cards were printed, we played like a couple of games with them, and we decided. Well, we all came to the conclusion that Deadly Relic was the strongest one, then the red one, then the blue one, and then only the red and blue one got banned. So we were all kind of surprised there. And now,
yeah, I agree to. I'm not sure if it's unplayable, Chalk, because you still have the chain veil combo, but it might be way too slow.
You only have the chain veil combo with the lens.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, you can do it with. You can do it badly with what's it called? No, you can do it with a basalt monolith.
So 1HL was asking about Wash Away. I think it's a powerful card. I play it in my Jeskai pile as well. But it's not too insane, I would say. Like, I would claim people underestimate the times in which you get to cast a card for 1 blue and countering something. Because...
You mean overestimate?
Sorry?
You mean overestimate?
No, actually, like, underestimate. Because people always say
you're going to be casting it more
than you think.
For one.
Yeah, more often for one than you would think, because there are so many abilities these days that, for example, Elite Spellbinder exiling a card, so you cast a card from exile. If you cast anything from graveyard, it's not cast from your hand. If you have something, you have the Cemetery Illuminator, which is casting cards from top of your library, and so on. You have Adventure, you have Cascade, you have Bring to Light, whatsoever. There are many abilities, and I think people just don't see all those opportunities, and then they think, okay, in 70% of the times it might be just a cancel. But you got the flexibility, and against commander-centric decks, dealing tempo-wise and also card quality-wise, dealing with a commander for 1 blue is a pretty powerful interaction.
Yep. It also increases like the amount of cards that you should be playing around when the opponent has one blue open.
Yeah.
So we have Force Spike, we have Spell Pierce, we have Spell Snare, and now you also have Wash Away.
Correct. But I mean, it might most often in early and mid game counter a commander for you, but the longer the game goes, and we've talked about lose focus at the last breakdown, that counter spells that are scalable in mid and late game are way better compared to cards that are not.
Yeah, and this card is definitely scalable.
Yes.
So I think it's definitely an include.
I do think so as well, at least for now.
Still, I'm not sure.
So what is happening on the board there?
Oh,
there is the better mother again. Woo! He was playing, how's the card called? 2 mana enchantment on ETB. Your opponent needs to sacrifice
a
creature. Correct. And the matron is searching for a goblin recruiter. And the goblin recruiter was cast by sacrificing the treasure token from the pilferer. And now Voshta is preparing for the combo. And I'm not sure if the Reaminatou player has something to interrupt the combo.
I mean, we've got 3 cards in hand. We'll see.
It wouldn't need to be a counterspell in order to counter the Snoop. Or any, maybe a Deadly Rolling or something like this. Anything to exile creatures. But yeah, it needs to be sequenced or played in a very early in an early state of Voshta going off with a combo. Yeah, there's Iona. By the way, what did Voshta exile with the squat trigger?
He picked Balance, Toxic Deluge, and Dam.
Okay, so it is still possible to
reanimate the Ashen
Rider, for example, which would not do the job here.
So I'm guessing, I think we've talked about this pile before, but
there are many. There's not just one pile. You can combine. You can stack it differently. You can create piles with and without. You're talking about the goblin pile, right?
Yeah, I think the goblin pile currently will be Snoop into Skirk Prospector, right? Oh wait, this disc doesn't play Skirk Prospector.
The deck doesn't play Skirk Prospector. I can't
yes,
imagine.
It does. Never mind. I was looking for the other artwork.
Yeah.
This is Dominaria artwork.
So you have Skirk Prospector, and usually you include the Pilferer, which is in graveyard. Okay, the Reaminatou player just conceded. Usually you include the Pilferer, and then you have Mork War Marshal and Fashalik. That's the basic setup. So you net more mana than you pay, and then Fashalik. Then you stack your deck with CMC1 goblins. And you can also play a Frenzied Goblin prior to casting goblins from the top of your library, sacrificing them into the Skirk Prospector to gain 1 red and pinging your opponent. You also get the triggers from the... It's not Frenzied Goblin. Frenzied Goblin is the one that says...
when it attacks you, can
yeah, how's it called? I always confuse it. Gets +1/+0 for every red creature entering the battlefield.
Foundry Street Denizen.
Foundry Street Denizen, correct. There we go.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I personally don't like Reaminatou being legal, because it's sort of in the Baral territory, where it's not unbeatable, but it takes such a long time to play the matches that it's just a bit annoying.
Yeah, it might leave the field at some point, especially if Wizards keeps printing more and more powerful spells, and it does. I mean, think about it. Decan is a fair planeswalker for C3, but once you flicker it, the last ability, I mean, it grows bigger the longer the game goes, and you also have an exiled creature and something else, right? I'm not sure about it. So double K. No, it's only exiled target creature. The -6 is probably irrelevant.
Yep. And I think cards like Out of Time.
Yeah,
I was strong.
Yeah, I was.
Prismatic Ending, definitely another good cards. Another good card in this
But
game.
at least any other white deck is benefiting from it as well.
True.
While some cards like this Planeswalker or Out of Time are really just
Reaminatou cards.
Reaminatou cards, yeah. I have seen one Tevesh Brava list also playing Out of Time. I'm not sure if that's the best decision.
I mean, it's interesting because you'll sometimes be able to plus Tevesh and have the cards Out of Time for a very long time.
I'm just asking for the top 8 metagame. Let's see if I get it. I will post it here. The full meta, yeah, we can see if that's posted somewhere. It probably is. I'm not sure if maybe they have posted something within the tournament. Yeah, it doesn't look like. Oh, there were some nice cards sponsored by their local vendor. A foiled True Name Nemesis. That's cool. The old frame one. Oh, I would have picked the Stoneforge Mystic, I guess. I think this one looks quite nice. There's a foiled Force. And a lot of ugly DCI cards. Yeah, I can't. It looks like they have not shared the top the metagame. Maybe I'll get the top 8. And it looks like there is a Neona on the field. Ooh. Flash into Wurmcoil Engine. That doesn't make it easier. I mean, he doesn't really has time. He has to sacrifice all the goblins in order to not die. And yeah, it looks like that's pretty much it. Yeah, I would be interesting to know if Martin made it to the top 8. And I just realized that we are
we top 16 or top 8? Because
we're already top 8, but this is top 4 now. So the first game we had was Hogaak versus what was the other deck? Let me check it. Tevesh Malcolm versus Hogaak was
right,
finished quite
that
fast.
match was over so fast. I've already forgot.
Exactly. And then
Yep.
now we had Grenzo versus
Yep.
Reaminatou, as Martin replied. And interesting, the guy on the right side, Rio. Because I would have said the alteration looks familiar to me.
Okay, I've never seen it before.
There is this French artist who's called Marshall. It is a secret layer? No, I'm not talking about the Saskia. I'm talking about
the altered Jirina.
Oh, it's the wit MTG is I see. Der Witwenmacher. Welcome.
Yeah, so that was to be expected here. Passing the turn with 1 mana open, he's got removal.
Martial alter, exactly. Dismember on Ragavan is a crucial thing.
Yep.
Because that boy can go out of hand pretty
Wondering
quickly.
what we saw a judge call, or what the judge was pointing his finger over. This is new. This is a trainee card. I don't know what it's called.
I don't know either. It's 1/2. It trains, and for 3 mana, you can remove 2 counters from any creatures, and you can destroy target enchantment or artifact. Correct?
I will find it.
I think that's correct. And the right guy is from France, by the way. I think I said that there were like 5 players this time joining from France. Hopeful initiate. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, we see another new card. This is a 3 mana green creature from that set. Called Cemetery Prowler.
Oh yeah, the Cemetery Prowler.
Yeah, so we have a Soldier of the Pantheon, which has protection from multicolored creatures, which is definitely a powerful thing here. Training won't be triggering, but each of those creatures is ready to trade with the Prowler, so this is a very powerful start.
Yeah, that's not really a situation in which you want to be as a Saskia player.
Yeah, attacking for 8 with your 1 mana creatures trading for your 3 mana creature. It's definitely not where you want to be. Especially with... Wait, that's not... Is that a Horizon Canopy on the board? I think it is, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. There's a Questing Beast. That's not too bad.
That could be double blocked, potentially. But it also could just be attacked into next turn with the opponent being on 6. That's just a lethal attack. Even without any removal or a benevolent bodyguard. I don't think there's anything really relevant here.
I'm just wondering why you would... I mean, they took a flight, right? Because going from France to Prague takes some time.
Yeah, I guess flight might not be much more. A flight from Paris might not be more expensive than a flight from Frankfurt, or much more expensive.
Not too. Yeah, right. So you need to talk in English here, otherwise
No one can understand you.
we can't follow you. But that was quite a quick one here, it seems.
Yep. This seems a little like a dice roll matchup, but I think the Saskia player's hand was not quick enough to beat.
I mean, the thing is that I think Jirina has an advantage here, because Saskia is more like playing creatures on curve, and which are a bit more not clunky but a bit bigger, while Jirina is playing a lot of creatures and then they get boosted by the commander, and in case you cannot interact with the commander, the small creatures suddenly are very big.
Yep. I mean, yeah. If the commander on the Jirina side survives, then yeah, it might have been correct to leave the Ragavan in play. If you
There's a
for and let
commander swap for Kelsian, that's nice.
either if he if his starting hand was Deathrite Shaman, it might have been correct to block or to attempt to block the Ragavan with a Deathrite instead of dismembering it if you didn't have removal for the Jirina.
Yep.
But I'm not sure. So here we see another Pain land, which is always a bit of a sketchy keep against an aggro deck.
Yeah, on the other hand, I don't think you can go down to 6 cards.
Well, yeah, I agree. But the Saskia decks tend to play 4 of them, since they can. They play Horizon Canopy, Sunbaked Canyon, the White Black Silent what's it called? Silent Clearing? No. All 4 of them, which can sometimes result in very painful draws, if you include like Mana Confluence and City of Brass.
So there's the Grim Flare. I think the board state is super funny. So he's going to roast the Lava Mancer and attack for 1. Sounds like they have a lot of fun. There's a rip apart. Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Not a card I would consider for this deck, but
Overgrown turn tapped. We see a Dreadbore in hand.
and a Confident. And a Fervent Champion, right?
Yep. Yeah, so not doing anything with your mana in that kind of a situation seems very sketchy.
Yep. It's definitely not the best decision. It's cool to have like a swap here, being on the draw. Have a 3-drop instead of a 4-drop in your command zone. Bob versus Saskia is definitely very risky. Maybe he played a card to have a blocker. Yeah, correct. Let's hope that...
It was stemmed. You might be forgetting about the Grove of the Burn Willows being tapped for 1 red mana. So,
I don't think it's necessary to play the Grove these days, is it? Because the amount of life your opponent gains is really can make a difference.
True.
Blackleaf Cliffs. There's a Plague. Yeah, Deadly Relic. And here we go again. This is so stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not even in the game and it's so stupid. Like, holy smokes.
Yeah, so once again we see a likely lethal tempo swing due to Deadly Relic here. Doesn't really help that the Saskia player is drawing exclusively lands.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's
Guessing Bob's gonna die here
that's a
due
bummer.
to the Dreadbore.
Well, the
The
Kelsium
commander dies to the Dreadbore.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. And there is a Selfless Spirit, which is able to block.
Well, no, it's not. It's just gonna die to the commander being recast for 5.
Ah, that's correct as well.
Yep. Attacks with Vigilance. Kills the guy. Does 6. No.
One on 6, the other on 9.
5.
There's an experience counter. So in response, sacrificing the Selfless Spirit would have been better to not get the experience counter. And he would have taken a damage less. There's Saskia, I guess. Swings in for 6. And if there is a 3-drop from the top with Dark Confidant.
Yeah, I think it's the only line he has. We see the Jirina in hand for the.
Okay, come on.
Mm.
Yeah, we see hands being rubbed.
Wow.
He decides. Okay, he goes to 1.
I was just talking about this land making differences. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so true, he would have won the game if he didn't have to tap the Grove of the Burn Willows for.
Absolutely, Relic should be banned. This game would have gone totally differently if it wasn't for the Relic. That's like an argument I would really agree on, that rogues are usually not red. But that's not quite true, right? There's the good rogue. How's it called? That made its way into most red decks. 2 mana with reach and haste.
Robber of the Rich.
Robber of the Rich, exactly.
Yeah. I don't think the color argument is a thing. I think creature types are as they are for flavor reasons most of the time, and most creatures get 2 creature types, and the 2 most fitting ones should be the ones that a card gets, unless there's flavor reasons for something to get it otherwise. And I think the flavor reason for calling Ragavan, or for Ragavan having the creature type monkey, is more than rogue, and for it being a pirate, considering that it is a pirate, is more than rogue.
Something important to. It looks like it's Martin, by the way, and this is the second semifinal here that they're playing. So looks like they've waited.
That's a little confusing. Okay, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like they have waited, since they're pretty fast. I mean, the last game was like 10 minutes or something.
Maybe Isamaru was still playing, because we saw the end of the Reaminatou match. So maybe Isamaru was still playing.
So that's now Alice again against. It's not Martin. But at least it's the dog.
I think we see a Yu-Gi-Oh card as a token now, or like a proxied Yu-Gi-Oh card. Yep.
I have to.
Jirina won the die roll.
Proxy Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, correct. I have no idea what it is. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh so far. Even looks like a fun card, like an alteration or something.
There's 3 people on it, so 3 human people, so I don't think it's a real Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Changelings are pirate rogues. Ha! There we go. But let's not continue with this topic.
Ragavan isn't a changeling though.
Maybe I can ask Santa Claus to change the creature type. Another Ragavan wouldn't be a problem, I guess. So there is a prismatic ending for...
Once again, demonstrating its value.
Yeah.
Turn 1, 1 mana removal. Turn 2, 2 mana removal. Turn 3, 3 mana removal. Does everything, slots into everything. Oh, now we see an interesting inclusion in the Reaminatou deck that I personally don't really enjoy playing in a deck that doesn't profit off it too much. It's Gitaxian Probe. I think paying the 2 life is often a bit worse than.
But we have to consider that he's playing a reanimated deck. So maybe he wants to make sure that the coast is clear.
Sure, but you have actual cards like Duress and Thoughtseize and Inquisition that are single slots in your deck that represent that kind of action. So
yeah, right. I mean, that's just another one.
Yep. Here we see, but then again, the information is valuable. Knowing about Armageddon.
Correct.
Knowing that we have a Phyrexian Revoker in hand that can potentially shut down Reaminatou.
I mean, you could argue about playing the new discard spell instead. Dread, however it's pronounced.
I think you have it in Leovold.
I do.
It's called Dread Fugue.
Fugue? Wasn't there an N in between?
Fugue.
Ah, okay. I thought it was like something like fungi.
Nope.
Nothing to do with a fungi. Good old mushroom cards.
So it'll be interesting to see if he goes for the Phyrexian Revoker here.
Oh, the quality is good again. Yeah.
Or if he just attacks for 2 and because that tutor likely searched for a balance, or because he has to have something that plays around the port. Well, he doesn't necessarily have to. Okay, yeah, that's also a line.
I mean, it could be a balance.
Bone Shards, pitching an Iona. That's strong. If he gets to actually reanimate something there.
And I hope he does.
So since he's demonic tutored, that might be either he tutored for Iona or he tutored.
There's a, how's it called, Lands of the Dance, something like this. I have no
Dance
idea.
of the Dance of the Dead.
Dance of the Dead. Okay, this one. Let's call it Lands of the Dance.
No, let's not. That's a lot of text.
That's a lot of text. It's even more than the original run, right? Holy smokes. Yeah, it is.
So, notably here, the Rishardan port won't be too helpful, since it's an upkeep trigger to untap the creature. Does it that it puts the creature into play tapped, and then you have and then you have to pay a black and a colorless to untap the creature during your upkeep.
There we have Lands of the Dance. That's a big one here.
Yeah, so we can see
you can play the Phyrexian Revoker, right? And naming Dance of the Dead?
You can do that. It doesn't do anything.
Wait, you have to cast it. No, you have to. You don't have to pay to.
You have to pay 2 to untap it, but it's a triggered ability. At the beginning of the upkeep, keep it.
There we go. Yeah, I didn't read the whole. Yeah, correct.
So
I was just looking at the mana cost. So.
Yeah.
Macabre Dance.
Will.
I think is it one of the. Are there any other auras that say enchant dead creature? Was the old animate dead worded the same way?
Not sure. So I guess we'll see a judge call here. If they do it wrong, let's hope someone catches it.
Oh yeah, it was indeed. It also says enchant dead creature. Cool. So what are they arguing about?
Well, the question that I think neither player is quite aware how that ability works. So I'm guessing he's actually named the trigger with a revoker.
Yeah, and now they realized it's an
then again
trigger.
So the port player has kind of fucked up a bit here. Since he can just wait till he's paid the trigger and then tap the remaining land that's still untapped.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, those lands are untapped, yep. There we go.
Okay, so in order to untap it, you always need to pay 2 mana.
Yep.
But Iona is a big beater.
It attacks for 8, which is 3 turns, which is not faster than a fool's clapback from
Hogaak?
the other team. So
the other what?
So if Isamaru just attacks next turn for 5 and again for 5 and again for 5, then the Iona clock isn't faster than that, so he has to stay back.
Yeah, on the other hand, not attacking with Iona is probably not right either, since
I mean, I
now
think it's fun.
he can give protection and just hit with
But he's-
Isamaru all over again.
Yeah, but he's not attacking for 5. He's attacking for 2 then, and the 2 clock is a lot faster. He just
but
has to
at some
over.
point he needs to decide to attack.
Absolutely.
Unless he gets rid of the creatures.
But I'm not sure attacking last turn would have been correct because you're basically
No, I agree on that
condemning
one.
yourself.
I agree on that
condemning
decision.
yourself to finding removal in 2 turns.
But on the long run, he needs to start attacking.
Yep.
So there is a white mana. This time he does not need to pay any cost of a trigger.
Yep. That's also a thing in favor of not attacking, so that you don't have to pay to untap. And now he has 3, potentially 4 mana to work with this turn.
Correct. So we have 55 guys with us watching how White Winnie is struggling against Iona.
Yep.
And now he decides to attack. Okay, so maybe he has a disruption spell. Looks like that's the case. There's a dam for the Phyrexian Revoker.
So now his clock is faster.
That's correct.
And it only gets better with more creatures on board. I think I remember seeing a Daikon in the Reaminatou player's hand as well, so if he gets to untap with white mana, which is very unlikely at this point, I guess, since he's going to be untapping with 1 mana.
Yep.
Don't think he's going to be casting that, but he can just attack for 8 and attack for another 8 next turn.
It's a pity that Portable Hole is a white spell in this situation.
Yep. And there we go, we have the concession.
Yep. 1-0.
So I'm guessing that the Demonic Tutor searched for the Iona, since Dance of the Dead is probably the worst of those reanimate spells. He could have gotten a persist or an animate dead or a necromancy, which all would have been better than dance.
He played the bone shards to pitch it, right?
Yeah, the bone shards he had in his opener. And I'm always not quite sure if Fiona's the right card in situations like that. I think for this situation it was. But going with more value with something like Archon is also strong. Because the Archon has immediate impact and lets you smooth your draws a bit more.
Yep.
Since you're drawing off it and the opponent's discarding cards. Then again, you risk losing to the opponent drawing a Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, exactly. Something like this.
Yeah.
So let's see how the second round looks like. I think that could have been a game for the White Winnie player. If it wasn't for the big angel. I'll be right back.
Okay. have the players result mulligans. Reaminatou player waiting for his deck to be cut. We see a switch to Thalia. I'm guessing that's a secret layer Thalia. Seems good. We see a similar hand to the last game. Port and Phyrexian Revoker in hand on the right player's side. Force Spike is a good answer to Thalia. You can just play Command Tower turn 1 and counter the Thalia once she comes down turn 2. Seems like the best way to go here. Yeah, and he snap kept it as well. So we see UC instead of the Command Tower. And we'll probably just see the Force Spike to Thalia. Yep.
And as I see, they started with the second game.
Yep. Force Spike for the Thalia, and now we have a strong start for Reaminatou.
That's not the new Thalia, that's the secret layer one, I guess. Or one of the 4.
Yes, one of the 4 secret layer ones.
I think I was about to get that one as well, yeah. Really like it. And there's a careful study. Such a cool card.
Yep.
And he's discarding 2 lands instead of a big one, which is interesting. Followed by a Thoughtseize. And there is a Shackled. Hehe. A Jellet Shackled. Which is, I think, it's a good card. Against the...
It is a good card. Just can't be abbreviated to Shackles.
Depends on the context, but...
Another card already owns that abbreviation.
Generally speaking, that's right.
Yep.
But not in the context of White Weenie. Whatever.
But in the context of Magic the Gathering.
However...
Vulcan Shackles owns the abbreviation Shackles.
That's right.
Yep.
But not if we're talking about White Weenie.
Nope.
So he took the
Always.
Revoker. Interesting.
I think it's absolutely the correct take, right?
Yeah, because it's the only creature.
So it's the only pressure. Portable Hole is a relatively dead card in this matchup. I mean, it can take reanimation spells.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if he has the ability to get an Reaminatou, get an Iona on the battlefield again, or something of the sorts.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the Shackles are kind of crippling the creatures.
The Jellet Shackles?
Yeah, the Jellet Shackles. I think we all know that I'm talking about the Jellet shackles if I say shackles. So if he decides to equip or attach it to target creature, the opponent could just
Flicker it and it
flicker
falls
it.
off.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Just a bit of a context there. We had a disagreement earlier about abbreviating shackles, gelid shackles to shackles, and I think Felix abbreviates too many cards.
Well, we were talking in the context of white decks, and I said shackles. So, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to think about the normal shackles you would talk about. I agree to the
Okay.
artifact
Agent of
has
Treachery isn't that strong in this matchup because the targets that it can take aren't very good. So destroying them
is my chat
might be better.
frozen?
I don't know. I don't think no one's been typing in a while.
Okay, because you mentioned Agent of Treachery. Did you see that card?
He showed it to the camera.
Ah, okay.
He showed his preordained to the camera, and there was an Angel of Despair and an Agent of Treachery. Yeah, we see your messages, guys.
Wow, there's a days. So Thalia's at 6. I'm just thinking about if there would have been a better swap than Talia. I think that's not the case.
I think the Thalia swap is fine, and if the opponent, if the Aminatou player doesn't have exactly Force Spike or Spell Snap, both of which he plays, then that's already a significant tempo hit.
Yep.
Oh, this is an interesting card to be playing. Definitely good. Draws 3, discards 3. What's it called? Jace's Vow? No. Ledge?
How's it called? The Jace's Oath.
Oath. Oath of Jace, that's the one.
Oath of Jace. Is it this? It's called like this?
Yep.
Yeah.
You.
Destroy target permanent on ETB, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and a body
so
that...
worse Ashen Rider, but still worth playing, I think, when you can abuse those into the battlefield effects.
And there is a Monarch. That's good. Might bring the White Winnie player back to business.
Maybe.
Unfortunately, we don't know if there is there any hasty reanimation target. I think there isn't. Not in Esper colors. Doesn't make sense to play Goyo's Vengeance and stuff like this.
No. Especially since you only have a card that doesn't entomb a legendary creature, so the only you don't have any selection for legendary creatures, and I think this deck only plays Iona. I don't even know if you play if you're supposed to play Gristlebrand. I think Gristlebrand is probably not correct a lot of the times.
And there we have the Animate Dead 4.
Yep.
Angel of Despair, and yeah, what is it going to destroy? Maybe the Palace Jailer?
Yeah, I think likely just the Palace Jailer.
And then we have the situation we talked about a few turns ago, that the Portable Hole can take care of Animate Dead.
Yep.
Unless the Aminatou player has a Mental Misstep or something in hand to deal with the Portable Hole.
Maybe. Yep.
And he decided to destroy the skull clamp.
Which is fine, I guess. I think. Oh, I mean, looking at it from a perspective where you want to be taking the monarch, and taking away creatures gets you closer to like permanently being able to take away the monarch. But we don't know what his hand looks like. He might have quite a few ways to reanimate the angel, and
Yep. I hope that the White Winnie player does not forget about Portable Hole in his hand.
I'd be very surprised. But I think it might be correct to tap the command tower, move to second main, and then or not. You never know.
Yeah, I would have done the same. Probably not enabling the insane turn 5 cast. But the longer the game goes, the more relevant, or not relevant, like the higher the chances are that Reaminatou player is able to... Oh, and there's a Soul Guide Lantern. That's not too bad. I was just about to...
That is definitely strong, yep.
Yeah, I was just about to say that the longer the game goes, the higher the chance of actually casting your threats instead of reanimating them.
Yep.
And now that there is a Graveyard Hate, you probably have to consider this in order to win games. But let's see.
So Thalio's down for 6, and we'll likely be seeing Surveils. The Lantern takes 1 to draw a card, no, tap to exile, yeah, exactly, 1 to draw a card. So even if we might have seen a reanimation line here, but we will likely see the Reaminatou cast flickering the Daikon and exiling the Thalia,
Yeah,
just to keep pressure off the board.
I would expect that as well. It costs 4.
Oh, we'll have to see if Soapy doesn't do anything illegal in between. No, there we go.
Yeah, but Reaminatou is ticking down to 2 instead.
What is that? We see, I think that's a Bone Shards, and I don't know the blue card.
So he's flickering the Oath of Chase.
The blue card is... No, he hasn't flickered anything yet. He's activating the Daikon first. Yeah, so we see Bone Shards and Intuition.
He played that last turn. Okay, never mind.
Yep.
But doing it the other way around would be better, wouldn't it?
Well, no, you miss an activation from Daikon if you don't activate it before flickering it.
And he was Okay, and he was down already on 1 from last turn. So he could have not...
It was down on
Yeah,
2.
okay. So he can't flicker... he can't
Can't exile then
exile
flicker
the
them.
creature and then gaining the reflicker and having a plus
Nope.
ability. Okay,
Nope.
I see.
So we have an intuition on top. So he has to, depending on his hand, we obviously see a Liliana in hand. So he's got another answer to a potential creature coming down.
And Talia is getting in range of not getting casted anymore.
I mean, with the Monarch, I think continuous land drops are likely.
That's correct, yeah.
This game is probably over for the White Weenie player, except if he has a series of good draws, like maybe a what's it called? Like a Skyclave apparition into. I mean, we have to consider he still has the Monarch, and as long as he remembers to continue drawing those cards, he might be able to build up a board with enough creatures to win. Especially since one of the cards that's in the Aminatou player's hand doesn't really win the game, and neither of the planeswalkers on board generate card advantage. Yeah, but I mean we'll get to see a Scry 2 from the Oath, and then probably the Oath getting flickered, and then baiting the activation of the Soul Guide Lantern.
There's a Swords. Yeah, but he's 1 mana off, right? No, Talia is not on field. Yeah.
Yeah, you can cast an equip, which makes it safe from
Dakan.
From Dakan at least.
But
we will see a Scry for that was a Scry 2, and then we can Dakan can plus, and if that finds a card, then Aminatou finds a removal for the Stoneforge, then Aminatou can find can take the card off the top. So oh no, never mind, we've forgotten. He has a Liliana in hand. You can just minus the Liliana.
right. I was just about to say any black interaction
Or white, anything.
Is or white as well is enough. And personally, I'm a fan of Swords in White Weenie, but obviously it has its flaws, especially against such matchups.
We see a third hand assisting with the scrying there. Yeah, I think the way that Aminatou might get back into this is if and not Aminatou, White Weenie might get back into this is drawing one of the flash creatures that White Weenie has, and, flashing it in the end step and getting a clean attack in with the sword. But I don't know how likely that is.
Right, Stamped Cataclysm would do a good job here. And considering the amount of card draw,
especially since there's a flagstones on board, so he's starting off with with 2 lands in play.
Yeah. But I'm afraid he's not even forced to choose the portable hull as artifact, since there aren't. I mean, he can crack the lantern anyways in response.
Interesting decision to play the Ash Barons, but I guess it doesn't really matter that much.
But the problem is if he would not choose the portable hull, then the Reaminatou player could reanimate a smaller creature from his graveyard instead.
Exactly, yeah, you could.
So interesting. There's a Leonin Arbiter.
Yeah, he could have a 1/1 Phyrexian Revoker on the battlefield. So we should see a fetch crack in response to this.
There's an Ash Barons. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
I don't know why you play that card.
Yeah, me neither. I thought you could give me an answer.
Nope.
I mean, there's.
We aren't delving much in this deck.
Yeah, right. And
we're not playing Pauper, so we don't need shuffles for our brainstorms.
And
we have 9 fetches.
We don't have any Esmo or whatever.
Well, we have 10 fetches. More. I mean, it might be a thought just if you want to play that card to have a better matchup against Blood Moon. That can give you some percentage points against Blood Moon.
Yeah, or also maybe it's another way of. I mean, it acts similar to a fetch land, like drawing a card of Aminatou's ability.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's okay.
I'm not sure if I would play that card though, just because of how tight the mana requirements of these decks can be in the early turns.
Okay, Grenzo says Ash Barons is against Blood Moon. Yeah.
No.
Might be the case.
I played a Blood Moon against an Reaminatou player 2 weeks ago, and he had no basics on board and drew an island, then a swamp, then a plains in the course of 4 turns.
Well,
that was just a little upsetting. So I think we see an Armageddon in hand again.
Yeah, but that
might get cast.
Not really.
I mean, it's definitely better for the White Weenie player than it is for the Reaminatou player.
That's correct.
Especially since the White Weenie player has a flagstones on board.
And is still in control of the Monarch.
Exactly.
But I'm a bit afraid that Liliana might bring this home on the long run. Since he can just, I mean, I don't know if the Surveil is really a good ability here. It filters some cards, but as long as the Lantern is on field, there isn't that much in terms of reanimating. That much to do. But I mean, the Armageddon would be a good play in order to prevent the Reaminatou player from hard casting his threats, right? So got a bit stuck. He plussed. Why is Liliana gone? Did we miss something? Are you still with me? Not yet. Okay. Kinky is currently muted. Ah, there was the absent. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
talking. Yeah, I didn't see the absent either. Oh, it's in graveyard.
Correct. Absent
Might have.
for x equal 4? That's crazy.
Oh, This is.
Oh, casting this main phase.
If X was 0, he could have just. Oh no, he minus Aminatou to flick, yeah. And he plus Dacon already, so he's.
I mean,
Bone Shards is already gone. This seems like quite a bad situation. Oh, I guess he can get. Now he can get Bloodsheath's Thirst, Fatal Push, Deadly Relic to kill the Arbiter.
he could do that, yes. Maybe.
I think that's.
I mean, he could also, but I would have done in that case. I would have done that at end of turn, like just casting 3 or searching for 3 spells that he can actually cast. Creatures, big creatures, Wormcoil Engine, whatsoever. Archon of Cruelty would do the job as well, since it has a sacrifice.
Well, he has to. Okay, so he forgot about the Leon and Arbiter attacks. So he was presuming that he had 3 mana to intuition with. And he's tapped in a way where he doesn't have white mana, so he can't get swords. And he has to, I think he has to interact with the Arbiter, because the Arbiter just attacks, draws cards, kills.
Oh,
Probably kills the Dacon. Oh, so he's committing to the attack from the. We might have a land to play, but if Toxic comes down, then I think we're. Ooh.
yeah, it looks like the.
It's like we went a bit too risky, and now.
Especially with the the huge problem is once the White Weenie player has cast Armageddon, Dakon is entering with 0 counters, right?
That's true.
So he can just beat down a Dakon to 1, and then the opponent won't have a chance to. I mean, he doesn't have a chance to exile it either because it has protection from blue. You're alive? Hello?
There we go.
There we go. There's a Sanctifier en Vec. Cool card. Cool addition to the White Weenie pile. Yeah, and I think he can just play all the cards in hand that he's able to slam onto the board. And
which is only 2 more.
Yeah,
it's only 2 mana more, and then he has to Armageddon.
Yeah, right. I don't know which cards he has left in hand, but maybe there's another drop. Maybe he needs to save the mana for the in order to search a land with the flagstones. Yeah. That's ugly. And the Sanctifier is especially a good card here against all the answers. Except assaults, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll see the toxic in 2 turns, in 3 turns, if he manages to make all his land drops.
Does flagstones brings the land into play tap? No.
It does. It does.
It does? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, and he resigns. So it was a steal. Stealing the game from Reaminatou. I didn't expect this game to go that long, to be honest. I was picking up the deck lately as well. I mean, lately, it's like some time ago, but have you tried the Puppet Stitcher? I think it's quite a cool card.
I got one of those. I haven't played it yet, but it's good to have it in the pool. Might end up in the cube at some point.
Yeah, why not? Right.
I think the cleave mechanic is very interesting.
That as well, yeah.
I think the first mechanic to kind of play around with that kind of thing was the overload mechanic, where you change the text with a cast, with an option while casting, and this is also like that, and they've printed some interesting cards that do that.
Yeah. As the prof said, all abilities are kicker or horsemanship.
Yep.
That's a bit of an exaggeration, but it has a true side. And we see a spell snare on Aminatou's hand, which is ready to deal with Talia again.
So yeah, I think this is kind of an issue that the deck has, where you are passing into 2 open mana. You see a spell snare. Yep.
There's also a fatal push. Is this a fatal push or is it a Rune Scarred Demon? We see a Necromancy and another pass. So I would personally be very scared of the Sanctifier.
Yep.
Unless I have a white removal spell.
I'm also not sure if I'd be playing Castle Vantress in a list like this.
Me neither. Looks like it resolves. Not a good sign.
Yep.
It is a Rune Scarred Demon, right?
It does look like it, yes.
Yeah. I mean, probably looks like he's never going to reanimate anything. As long as the Sanctifier is on field.
Exactly. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that can happen to get the Sanctifier off the field.
That's correct.
But if he doesn't have an answer to it, it might have been correct to let the Thalia resolve.
I was thinking about that as well, yeah.
And spell snare the Sanctifier.
But that's prior to the last game of this day, and players might be sleepy already or tired. Not sleepy.
And this is I mean, people might be sick of it, but this is why I don't play Aminatou. You have situations like this again where you cast your Animato for 3, you're not affecting the board, you just plus it, hoping to somehow find some answer to do something. But in the end, you've just increased the tax by 1 without actually affecting the board.
Yeah, tempo-wise, that's a very bad play.
Yep. Especially since he did it turn 4 with
another mana not used.
With an unused mana currently, and I think it's unlikely that he has something to do with this mana.
And there's a Leonine Relic Warden. Water?
Yep.
Okay. Right. Currently not relevant.
Another one of those cards that has the old wording where it can permanently remove something if it's not around by the time its first trigger resolves.
And there's a dam.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Which card you were about to mention?
The Relic Water. It has the split text.
Yeah, correct.
Meaning that if you have it into the battlefield, target something with its trigger, and then have it die, the card that has been targeted will be removed permanently.
Correct.
Definitely a good card to have in your deck if you have a metagame that plays Wizard Sagas or Artifact Lands.
Yeah, and also Zootas and stuff is around, right?
Yeah, just this. Against Aminatou, it's usually a good card too because you, in this case, have animate deads and stuff. In other cases, you can get cards like Out of Time. You can get cards like Trail of Ambition.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. How's it called? Kaya, Oath of Kaya.
Oath of Kaya, exactly.
Yeah. There's a Flicker Wisp. There's not much to flicker. I mean, he could flicker land.
Is this a die? Are they getting turns?
That's not possible, right?
I hope not. I mean, in France we saw it.
We saw that, yeah, with the sudden death. That was.
But I think the Czech have been very good about that so far.
Yeah.
From my experience.
Yeah, to be fair, both are playing very slowly currently.
How did what work?
So there was, yeah, I think he's asking about the case in France. They had to close the venue in time, so there was like a semi-final Venza versus Aminatou, which went longer than 50 minutes, and at some point the judges said, we are just going to end the game by...
They got turns and then they decided based on life total.
Right.
which meant that a Kaya's Guile gaining 4 life and decided the game.
It was a bit unfortunate because the game was very entertaining because both players played at a fast pace and they knew the matchup quite well.
Yeah,
it seemed, or people in the chat informed us about their being friends, and they've practiced the matchup a couple of times, and it was very high quality magic to cast and to watch.
and it was very weird to kind of witness just the game suddenly ending, and we had missed a dice on the field counting turns, which it just made it very very weird to witness the game end like that.
Dan has just sent. So, Sinok, there are in total 64 players. They had a player cap because of COVID. And Dan was just saying that the pubs are closed at 22. So they are forced to close. Yeah, the story about the sudden death was from a French tournament. That's correct. Yep. And we are assuming right now that hopefully is not the case for today's semifinal, but
they might not play out the finals. They might have decided not to play out the finals before, and that's why we're seeing the semifinals, and they'll split the prizes for first.
Yeah, would have been a bummer, but well, we got four games to cast on.
Yep,
which is great. A lot of different decks, apart from having the same Reaminatou list on cam twice, but that's because Alice piloted it to success. I think he played a similar list at our event in Darmstadt. Yeah, they could play. I mean, there's especially on both sides there shouldn't be too much decision making. Both game plans are very streamlined and so what's going on? The judge is checking wording of necromancy. Oh, the researcher. Haven't seen that card either for quite
it was
a while.
On board.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of those decks play that card.
Okay. Would be another card that I'm missing in Japanese foil.
I'm not sure if I have it either. I think
I didn't even play Careful Study, apart from playing Kenrith Breach back in the days.
I have it in non-foil.
Shame on you. This is not interesting. No, it's a bit.
Yeah, so I think it's a bit weird. I mean, I guess it's the end of the day, but It's when people are confused like this. I think there's like a minimum requirement of being, how do I say, being well acquainted with your own deck. That you want to be playing at least a little quickly in situations like this.
I don't even know what they are debating about. I mean, if he flickers the demon, then the necromancy gets detached. And
the demon returns to play.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So he might ask about if necromancy is going to the graveyard or is still on the battlefield. But since it's an aura, also it's not. It's not written on the card. No, it's not an aura, right? It isn't an aura. Yeah, because it's just a triggered ability that says you put the creature onto the battlefield. But then it becomes a creature enchantment that targets the creature. And since it's an aura, later it becomes an aura. It's the same wording as with Animate Dead. So I don't see why you would flicker Necromancy without any other target in graveyard.
Yeah, especially because it gives the ability for something like Relic Water in the opponent's deck to remove the Runescar Demon.
Yeah.
State-based efekty se stejně čekují a vyhodnocují až na konci provedení celé ability, taky se neumí dělat uprostřed. Když dostaneš blesk za 3, tak čekáš až na vyhodnocení celého toho blesku, než ta bytost konečně umře, protože během toho vyhodnocování se nemůže nic stát. Je to relevantní v některých případech, třeba když máš...
I think we can be sure about finals not being played.
Vlastně ten démon jakoby čeká s tím, že má umřít a přijde nekromancie do hry ještě předtím, než démon umře a čeká a chceš něco jakoby znovu. Já pořád nechápu, proč je teda, když opouští hru, jako, tak se to stane, tak to sekneš tu bytost. Tak to jde přece na stack, jako přece. Ale ono to opustilo a přišlo. No ale jde to na stack. A ty to musíš vyhodnotit. Teď to opustilo, vyskočí ti na stack obětuj mě. To je všechno v pořádku, souhlasím. Teď se to vrátí zpátky. A teď máš na stacku obětuj mě a tady ti přijde na stack zacíluj. A můžeš si je nastakovat jak chceš. V jakýmkoliv pořadí. Já myslím, že se hned opustí a vrátí a teď tam máte ano, v podstatě jenom jakože. No. On jako by to triggerovalo někde uprostřed toho, ale ten trigger počká s tím seřazením na stack, až když ta nekromance se vrátí zpátky prostě. Takže teď si můžeš nastakovat v jakém pořadí jdou ty ability na stack. Máš nekromanci a máš to obětování Runescar. Co si na to mám vybrat? Tak musíš cílit něco nekromancí. A k další kolo to může dělat znova, konec, jestli ti vrátí ten den.
Oh, so someone's just posted in the Prague channel
Já to asi pořád nechápu.
this comment.
OK, takže démon nemůže být cílený, ten je někde tady na stole pořád.
Yeah, so the Runescarred demon isn't in the graveyard yet when the necromancy comes onto the battlefield.
Nic si nenajdu teda, ale
So it can't target anything.
fantazie.
Because of the delayed trigger?
Yep.
Okay.
So it leaves the battlefield
Yep.
and re-enters, and the trigger goes on the stack that sacrifices the Runescarred demon, and then there's no target in the graveyard. So I don't know why I guess the judge call was he targeted the necromancy, which is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. Could be at this. There's an unexpectedly absent judgment and an Armageddon.
I think we're in for another long game.
Yeah, it looks
I mean-
like. I mean,
he doesn't have a blocker for the Flicker Wisp, so the Reaminatou is dead next turn. And it seems like his demonic tutor searched for the Thoughtseize, the demonic tutor of the Runescarred demon. So I think we're looking at quite a so we've seen the dice move, which means that I don't think we'll see a resolution to this game anyway. And if the doors close at 10, I think it's very unlikely that we'll see a full resolution to the tournament.